The reason you're distracted, unable to focus, and procrastinating has to do with dopamine, a neurotransmitter that's responsible for learning, attention, motivation, and mood. The problem, though, is that we get way too much of it from unnatural sources like social media and video games and our phones. Classic. And these artificial sources of pleasure hijack your brain and make you slower, weaker, less happy, and less willing and motivated to do the things that you know you need to do. You see, we're living in this new age of digital distraction with entertainment and the opportunity to escape just a click, a tap, or a scroll away. Basically, almost every single thing out there is designed against you and engineered to capture and hold your attention for as long as possible, which prevents you from going out and doing the things that are actually important to you. For example, if I asked you to tell me which activities you thought were going to get you better results, or help make you more money, or make you a better person in the long run, I'm willing to bet you'd have things on that list like studying, reading more, exercising, and maybe working on a side project. But even though we know these are good and healthy options, still, all across the world, people on average are spending 6 hours and 57 minutes looking at a screen each day, most of which is spent looking at a phone, and this includes 2 hours and 27 minutes of scrolling through social media channels alone. The average video game player logs 8 hours and 27 minutes a week, and at least in the US, 37% of people regularly eat fast food. But other countries aren't too far behind, as the next biggest consumer of junk food is France, then Canada, then the UK, then South Korea, then Japan. But don't worry, it gets worse. The average person today sees somewhere between 4,000 and 10,000 different marketing messages every single day, most of which are unhelpful and unhealthy and try to convince you that you could be more if only you had more. And when you combine this with everything else, well, it's left our population so stressed out and overwhelmed that some people are simply unable to cope with it. And all of this is having a pretty negative effect on our ability to feel good and to actually get things done, as worker productivity is down for the first time since 1947. Yikes! The point here, though, is that nobody is immune to this. Distractions and devices and quick hits of dopamine are everywhere. So clearly things are not stacked in your favor, but fortunately there is a solution. And that solution is a dopamine detox. Sometimes also referred to as dopamine fasting, a dopamine detox is where you unplug and avoid activities that overstimulate your brain so it can re-regulate more natural dopamine levels. Now, I'll admit, it's not an overly enjoyable process, at least not initially, but the big payoff is that you actually start to enjoy doing things that you once found boring or hard. Even better though, you rewire your brain to not just enjoy these challenging activities, but actually look forward to them and prioritize them over other less productive activities. And it starts to create a virtuous dopamine work cycle where you do hard work, so you feel better and get more dopamine, which makes you want to do more hard work, so you feel even better, and on it goes. So to help you do that, I have a system that I'd like to share with you. A few things that have worked really well for me and have helped me be able to put the phone down, turn on monk mode, and get down to business to do deep work. And it all starts with part number 1, sacrifice. Most of the things that are causing you to feel distracted and unable to focus and procrastinating, well, they've been engineered to do exactly that. Video games have levels and rankings, which have been designed to provide a feeling of accomplishment and a dopamine hit that goes along with it. Social media has algorithms and provides random feedback, something known as intermittent rewards, that has been proven to be one of the most addictive things of all times. And this is what leads to people essentially doom scrolling for hours and hours at a time, not even really knowing what they're doing or why they're doing it. All the while, a nice slow and steady drip of dopamine is slowly leaking into their system, keeping them hooked. Other behaviors, like chronically checking your email, do pretty much the same thing. And that one kinda used to be the worst for me. There's just something about knowing that a new email could be coming in at any time that kept me constantly going back and checking it, refreshing every few minutes. It wasn't healthy, wasn't fun, and it wasn't productive. And then of course there are the obvious culprits like sugar and stimulants and highly processed junk food, all of which do kind of the same thing by overloading your system with these unnatural levels of dopamine. And this is why step 1 of a dopamine detox is to sacrifice. To reduce or ideally avoid things that unnaturally spike your dopamine levels, like video games and highly processed foods and sugar and social media and your phone. When I first started this, well, I forced myself to not check my phone for the last hour before I went to bed or for the first hour after I woke up in the morning. Now, surprisingly, mostly to me, I don't even really check my phone at all. In fact, I'm not even sure where it is right now, but we'll find it later, because for now, we've got to focus on the next step, which is effort. To me, as someone who's always loved having a goal and something to work towards, this is the fun part. Not fun as in, yay, fun. Aw man, you guys forgot to bring me sparklers, didn't you? but fun as in fulfilling and rewarding, and something that gives you a sense of accomplishment and contentment, where you can look back at the end of a long day and feel proud of yourself for everything you've done. The effort phase is where you can start to enhance natural dopamine production by doing things like exercising, taking cold showers, meditating, and making sure you're getting enough sleep. Fasting is another way to downregulate your dopamine back to a healthy baseline, but I only do this occasionally because I get hangry. For me though, the biggest hack that I found was actually embracing boredom and seeking out boring situations. For example, if I know there's something that I need to work on, something that I desperately want to avoid, like say going over my taxes or doing paperwork of any kind, well, I give myself one of two different options. Option one is I can do the thing that I know I need to do, and option two is that I can do nothing at all, which essentially just means sitting there, bored. No breaks, no phone, no bathroom, nothing. For the time that I've set aside to work on this thing, I'm allowed to work on that thing, or like I said, do absolutely nothing else. And like 99 times out of 100, I'm going to end up working on the thing that I know I need to do, because there is nothing more uncomfortable than boredom. The beauty of this all though is that it all plays back into that virtuous dopamine work cycle, where I do work so I feel good, and therefore I do more work so I feel better. So I do more, and then I feel better. And then I do more, and I feel even better. Then I do more work, and I feel better. Then I do more work and I feel even better. Okay, next is the third part, which is perhaps the most important and valuable phase of all, and that is association. For anything you want to do, there are three phases: the before, the during, and the after. And while all of these phases can and do release different levels of dopamine, there's one phase you want to focus on optimizing more than the others. It's not the before phase. Yes, dopamine is important here for motivation and getting you to actually want to do the thing, but sometimes you can get yourself so jacked up and excited that the anticipation is reward enough, and so you're less likely to actually go out and do the work.
What are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Do it! Wake up and work.
This is why you'll sometimes hear the advice to not share your goals with too many different people. The theory is that they'll reward you ahead of time by acknowledging this new goal that you've set for yourself, thereby giving you this false sense of accomplishment by dripping you some dopamine. And when you get this sense of accomplishment before actually having accomplished anything, well, it kills some of the motivation, making it less likely for you to actually act. The after phase is also not where you want to focus. This is because you don't want success and accomplishment to be just like a one and done kind of thing. You want consistent, persistent, perpetual, long-term growth. Essentially, the ability to move from win to win to win. Which means the place that you need to focus on and optimize most is the actual doing phase. The work part, the process. The time that you're actually doing the thing. That's the reward. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, says that the secret to accomplishment is to focus on systems and daily actions, rather than long-term goals and things way off in the distance. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist and professor at Stanford University, he says the objective is to attach dopamine to small wins every day. Because what you're really after here is progress and progression and growth, and essentially training yourself to release dopamine by growing and striving and working, and again, progressing. And the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "I have to go to work as a human being," because that's what we as humans do. We work, we provide value. And when we do so, we get rewarded. Of course, as great as these things are, they don't mean anything if you can't actually get started and take that first step, which means you're going to need a plan of attack to overcome procrastination and become a productivity master. So to help you do that, I've linked up a video right here that's going to show you exactly how to stop procrastinating and start getting things done right now and once and for all. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in that next video.